Hello, everybody, and today we're going to talk about uh, what I'll call appointing. This meaning putting ourselves in a position that we see is fitting for ourselves and therefore kind of bringing out our full potential. Now, we're going to talk about the past quickly and then move to the present. In the past, this appointing was not done by the individual themselves, but by an elder or a guide or a spiritual person, somebody generally with higher knowledge and experience than the person themselves, therefore giving them some kind of guidance in what they should pursue. And that person is generally looking at the nature of the individual and their kind of strengths as well as the things that they need to balance out, which we call weaknesses, and therefore really kind of self actualize all the things in that person so that they can fully use their skills to the task that they are kind of appointed to. Now, what we have, that would be generally at a younger age, but you have lots of guidance there into young adults and then into adulthood by the elders. Now, what we have is a kind of a scholarly system of this kind of rite of passage. And in this system, we pick our own destinations. This is to say that we would have the wisdom of those elder people and be able to pick appropriately the path that we should take, which would lead us to our kind of peak potential. Uh, at the age of 18 or 19, around there, we're going to be going to university or thinking about university or picking our courses, and we have our high school education, and that's supposed to give us some insight into how to select a greater path for ourselves. Ultimately, most people pick a path and change it before the end of the university or during or after or a few years past that. They change their career, maybe completely. They change what's important to them. They have life happen. So we can't say that we particularly have a great system nowadays to orient that person. This is why I think guidance from elders is a very powerful thing. Generally, we want these elders to be wise in the first place, and not all elders are wise. We all know that. Um, but this is why I think apprenticing is such a great thing for us to think about. We get the experience of the industry or the thing that we want to do. We get the personal insight. We get to live it and see, well, how does that contrast with what I want to do? And does that really help me achieve these greater things? This would be a step up from what we're doing, but ultimately, when you have a sensei or a mentor or a guru, whatever you want to call it, uh, they have the ability to penetrate your personality and in that way give you lessons throughout your process of becoming a master, so you're apprenticing, uh, so that you kind of grow into yourself. This is very powerful for somebody living a sustainable life that is not just oriented to business. This makes a quality person, not necessarily an efficient worker. However, when somebody decides to master the thing that they're in, they become kind of one and the same. They're moved by passion, the heart behind the actions, and therefore can sustain hard work for a long period of time, years really, as they kind of fill their cup by doing their actions. We don't particularly have this. We have a try and fail and feel bad and lack of guidance and then peer guidance and then maybe some failing again and no real orientation. So we experience what we think is a lot of failure without the corrective guidance to make that failure a triumph. And this is, I think, is a very powerful point. So before we, and this transitions from teenage, young adult to adulthood, uh, we must know that we don't know things. And if we take things on just as an experience in itself, we're better able to pay attention to where guidance should be asked for or sought out, or at least a way of double thinking the things that we do before we do them, adding the experience and knowledge to the wisdom gaining that from that. And in this way, I think we'd have more of a powerful platform for all people on a mental and emotional level. Uh, and when you have a mental and emotional strength, then physical strength always follows. So I bring this point up just to give some understanding to why a young adult, teenager, or even adults would feel kind of lost, unsupported, and kind of disillusioned with what they thought they'd get out of life. And this again is the lack of guidance from the elders uh, that would kind of give them a sense of safety, a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, and a sense of kind of being cared for through a guiding process. That even if they meet something that's challenging, there is somebody who they can call on, and they know that they can uh, rely on that support that they'd offer, and the person that's supporting is not taking away the obstacle, is just giving the advice. Often we will try to move all hardships away from children, thinking that this will make things easier. It makes things actually destructive because they need those lessons to take on bigger problems. And we are mainly there to guide and show our support in our listening to the challenges that the person is facing. So I just really wanted to make that a solid point so that we know that we need to be more compassionate with ourselves, that it's always okay to seek guidance, and you can't be bad for it. You don't have to do it on your own. In fact, there is nobody who's ever done it on their own. They all have mentors, guidance, and parents or people that they can look up to and help them through their own process. The way that we will make the biggest change is if we embrace ourselves, and that takes quite a bit of courage. So knowing this stuff, I hope will help you see that this is a courageous and worthy endeavor to pursue yourself, and something that will bring more of you to the table when you take on what you're truly passionate about. Thank you very much for listening, and have a great day.